So greetings, it's your buddy Mike's from livemyassoff.com. I was kind of struggling with sort of the best way to summarize 2016 for me, so that I can, sort of reflect back on and, say, okay, like what worked, what didn't, the feedback loop sort of thing, right? And to like apply that into my life. But what I remembered is my sponsor years ago, and I guess for some reason I forgot this now, because I'll have to wait till I get home, but I don't remember doing it for January of 2016, but maybe I did. The point is that write down 10 things that you're really proud of that you did in 2016. And so I was walking a little bit towards where I'm sitting right now on these rocks on the beach, and I was thinking to myself, okay, so like, what are 10 things that I'm proud of? And I'm going through that in my mind and that sort of thing. And I'm like, okay, well, that's good. And then I'll sit down like, well, wait a minute. What was number 3? What was number 4? So maybe one of the things I'm not proud of is that I didn't pursue getting ADD medication. But I much prefer shiny red ball syndrome as well as only child syndrome over taking more medication, quite frankly. It's more entertaining this way, at least for me. So I wanted to start off with the 10 things that I'm really proud of that I did it in 2016. The first is I went to the Philippines. I don't know about you guys, but every now and then I do something that I really like, and so therefore I do it again and I do it again and I do it again. And without even realizing it, I'm like, wait a second, I'm like kind of in a rut. And so the overarching thing probably for 2016 is that I discovered a whole bunch of new things, and I made sure that I was like constantly exploring. When I sold my house 3-4 years ago and said, okay, I'm gonna figure out a way to live with less and travel more, and the mantra was less stuff, more experience, and I've been able to continue that. So I guess that's another thing that I'm really proud of that I did in 2016 is I continued the process of more discovery, more travel, less stuff, more experience. But the first, it was definitely the Philippines because there's tons to do in Thailand, and so it'd be real easy to be like, okay, well, I know how to do this. I know how to do Bangkok Airport, and I know how to, for I think it's like another $20, I know how to get through Bangkok Airport within like 3 minutes. So that's fantastic. But then, without having done it 10 years in a row, I'm not an expert yet, right? But I thought to myself, okay, so, what are some new things I'm going to do? So definitely the Philippines was a really interesting thing. And as I've shared before, I got back and people were like, okay, so you've been to Thailand, you've been to the Philippines, which one do you like better? I'm like, it doesn't matter, because for $100, I can get from one place to the other. It's kind of like saying, what do you like, San Diego or Las Vegas better? It doesn't matter, dude. If I had to, I could walk there to experience it. The second thing is along the whole lines of like less stuff, more experience. I realized at the beginning of the year, quite frankly, that I had this storage unit that their business model is stellar, these storage units. Let me these self-storage units, because they do the whole like first month's free, and I swear they all used to be cocaine dealers, because they're like, look, the first month's free. I mean, after that, you can handle it yourself. Right. But no, so the first month's free. So I get into this storage unit because, of course, I'm in the mindset of the United States, even back when I sold my house, which is, okay, well, first of all, I need to own real estate. And secondly, I have to have stuff. And if I don't have a place for my stuff, then I just need to get a secondary place for my stuff. But I need to keep my stuff. And so after almost 36 months, some quick math told me I have now purchased everything in my storage 3 times because it was at the point where it was over $100 a month, right? So I'm like over $3,500 into all of this stuff in my storage. And all I kept was like jackets and that sort of thing. I'm like, yeah, I live in Southern California. I need a repertoire of jackets. False. So, it was pretty easy to get rid of that stuff. Which then sort of dovetails me into the next one, which was I made some donations to the Goodwill. And I almost am putting Goodwill in air quotes. Here's why. I've heard some various stories about the Goodwill. And definitely one of their slogans on the side of their trucks is getting people jobs, which I believe they do. And I'll tell you, every single person I've ever met that works at the Goodwill is incredibly friendly, and they seem very grateful for their job. So obviously they're doing something right. They're not beating these people until morale improves, right? So anyway, so there was that cool thing that I did that, but I also tried on a couple other things, which was Salvation Army. And the other reason I did that is to be like, okay, well, Goodwill doesn't have the monopoly on taking clothes and then reselling the good stuff. And then I also discovered shipping the rest of it to the Philippines. And then it gets purchased there. And it was funny too, and I know that absolutely for a fact, because some of the clothes that I noticed on this back beach of Boracay Island, in these little like shacks that are selling these used clothes, is that it has the tags on it from Goodwill. Anyway, so that was kind of neat. And in that process, it's almost like a 3-part B, is that I discovered that if I shop at the Goodwill near very affluent communities, I can get shirts that have never been worn, that still have the original price tag on it, from places like Nordstrom's. And I got a Tommy Hilfiger shirt that had never been worn, that had the original tags on it, that was normally $115. I paid $4.99 for it. All day long, dude. I will do that shit. So that was kind of cool. Number 4 is I wrote down I grew the VUG. If you don't know, my main job that pays my rent is that I get to work at the University of San Diego. And I manage a team of IT rock stars that basically allow me to sleep at night, that provide an infrastructure that is unnoticeable by our clients, meaning that the students just wake up every day and they're like, all of the systems work, all of the connections worked, my phone worked, I was able to get to all of the services from USD, and they unconsciously have that experience. They don't even acknowledge it. It's like, well, of course there's electricity on the other side of that outlet, right? And so that's what my guys have been able to provide and promise to our clients that we have for basically about 4 years, right? Our undergraduate students. So that's been amazing. The second thing I do is I am honored to be the president of the board of directors of the VCE user group. And if you don't know, VCE is simply a company that makes hardware and an IT solution that you basically put into your data center if you're a fairly large enterprise, and you run all of your systems on it. That's the short answer. And the people that manage and purchase those systems are anywhere from systems administrators, network administrators, systems architects, IT directors, IT managers, CFOs, CIOs, CEOs, because of course there's the business value in technology that you put into your organization. And so there's a user group for all of the people that have that common solution for their business, and we collaborate and find better solutions and bigger solutions for the systems that we bought. So that's the VCE user group, or the VUG. And for now the second year in a row, I've been honored to be the president of that. And our goal at the beginning of last year was to double our membership numbers. And we have. So I'm very excited about that. And I did not do that alone. I have a team of rock stars that help me there. And that is the board of directors that I'm honored to basically hug fest with, which is like pretty rad. The next one is really cool. And I didn't like have this goal, but it happened. And I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to be the facilitator for it. Is I convinced my mom, basically, and also my dad, but pretty much my mom, that through my travels I've discovered that I can get anywhere in the world within 24 hours for $1,500. And the reason that was important was my parents live in Boston. And so I can get to Boston from literally anywhere in the world within 24 hours for $1,500. And I truly believe that, and having my mom believe that makes her more comfortable with me traveling all over the world. And so therefore I get to do that now, because it's okay with mom. No. I mean, it's important that my parents believe that I will always be there for them to the absolute best of my ability. And so that was really cool, because my mom, like a lot of people in America, believe that 100% of the data they get from CNN as well as USA Today is correct. And it's not. So when they're saying, oh my God, there's bad stuff happening in this country, yeah, there probably is. There's also bad stuff happening in Los Angeles, dude, but it doesn't mean everyone from Florida is like, oh my God, I need to boycott California. There's plenty of bad stuff everywhere. I don't go to those bad places, so the news isn't really relevant. So I needed to make sure my mom knew that I'm safe and happy, gratefully comfortable in my own skin, and I can get to them if they need me. And okay, the next one is I flossed every day. Okay, why the hell is this important? My dentist told me a long time ago this one great phrase. I've never forgotten it, and probably I've flossed every day because of it. He goes, you know, just floss around the teeth you want to keep. Right. Yeah, pulling the ripcord on the parachute is merely a suggestion. Yeah, I'll take that suggestion, right? So anyway, so that was kind of cool, and I was excited about it. Plus, I mean, the acknowledgement is I go to the dentist regularly, usually every 3 months, sometimes every 3-4 months or whatever, and they always say, oh, do you floss every day? Why, yes, I do. So that was kind of cool. The other one is I stayed clean and sober, and there's a part of me that's like, well, right, of course you did it for 24 years because you did it for 23 years. It's just one more year. I will report to you that there is less of a challenge every single morning when I wake up to staying clean and sober. There is a repetitive gratitude that I have every single morning that when I wake up, I don't even think about drugs or alcohol. Unless I'm at a meeting or maybe I'm like in the grocery store and I'm walking down the aisle. So I don't know if I'm proud of it, but I'll tell you this, I am in need of acknowledging the gratitude I have for that, and blessed beyond belief to the point that when I drive over the bridge in the morning to go from home to work, at least 51% of the time, I'm almost brought to tears with the excess level of gratitude I have to live the life I do one more 24 hours. So that's pretty rad. The next one is I saved money. And you may think, well, right, doesn't everybody? I'm not good at that. And so perfecting that, quite frankly, was about as much of is about as much of a challenge as it was to initially get sober. Because I knew I shouldn't be doing bad stuff, but yet I did it continuously because there was this belief in my mind that it made me feel good. i.e., I know I shouldn't really be buying this or spending this money, but I'm gonna. So I did a hell of a lot less of that and a lot more saving. And it's turned out to be pretty good because the more savings you have, the more investments, the more savings I have, the more investments I have, the more investments I have, the more those go up based on the market. And the market basically, for the most part, has done really well. And so I'm grateful that I had all of those purchases made, those commitments to those companies that did well. The next one is Vietnam. I'm here now. And I've always said, like, man, this whole country is beachfront. like this place must be epic. Like, I got to get over there. And with the exception of Da Nang in December, which I do not recommend because it was 60 degrees and drizzly, you know, for some reason I didn't think to check weather.com before booking the airline tickets. I was just like, oh, yes, well, it's Vietnam. It's at latitude, I think, 14. Of course it'll be warm enough. False. So anyway, so that was a learning experience. But nonetheless, I'm here now, and the sad part for me is that for some reason, for the life of me, I can't remember any Vietnamese words. I know how to say thank you, which is come on, which is kind of like come on. And I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly, but nonetheless, I get smiles when I use that word. So I guess I'm doing something right. And so again, it's like the whole, it's the overarching umbrella, right, of the awesome sauce that I was able to drink in 2016, which is less stuff, more experience. And definitely Vietnam is a continued experience. And then finally, and I was reminded about this by a very good friend of mine, probably one of my best, if not my best friend, Mike G, who posted on Facebook this morning, call someone who you don't normally talk to and tell them you love them. So number 10 for me is that I believe I made the conscious decision to make sure to tell everyone who I love that I love them. And the next thing was, and if I think about it, is not only did I say it to them, I believe I've been able to prove it to them with my behavior. And that's awesome. And I didn't learn how to do that out of the box. The manual I was given told me to do that and showed me how to do that with my parents, but I didn't learn how to do that with the other people in my life. Now maybe the motivator for this was the fact that I'm getting older, and so are all of you. And occasionally you die when I'd rather you didn't. And so every now and then, you know, it's like those slaps in the faces need to occur for me to get grateful for all the people that are in my life. But I can tell you right now, as of December 31st of 2016, last year, I told all the people that need to know that I love them, that I love them. And I hope you did too. So that's my top 10 for 2016. From Phu Quoc Island, South Vietnam. I hope you're living the dream, because if you're not living the dream, you're doing it wrong.